we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about the best sources of protein to eat for longevity. Proteins are the building blocks of life. They're critical if you actually want to live long and if you want to prosper, thrive. Because as we age, we lose protein and muscle mass. Now, losing muscle mass is actually a setup for becoming frail and less mobile, which cuts into your lifespan.
Welcome back to the Longevity Deprocessed channel.
In this video, we'll be joined by Dr. William Li, a highly respected physician, researcher, and author known for his innovative work in angiogenesis. Dr. Li has gained global recognition for his expertise in how diet, particularly protein sources, can play a crucial role in supporting health and combating disease. He's also the author of a popular book that explores how the right food choices can contribute to overall well-being and longevity. Today, he'll be sharing his insights on the power of protein and how it can be an essential part of a healthy lifestyle. Dr. Li is here to talk about something crucial for all of us, protein, and how it affects us living a longer, healthier life. We'll review the different sources of protein, discussing the pros and cons of each, and of course, Dr. Li will share his top picks. Whether you're trying to build muscle, lose weight, or simply eat healthier, this is a conversation you won't want to miss. So let's listen to Dr. Li and learn from one of the best in the field.
Morgan says that Dr. Li is the best.
So you need to actually keep your protein in and build it up with exercise, and that's the same as being a bodybuilder. Now think about maintaining strength during aging as bodybuilding over the course of a lifetime. So up to the age of 40, you should be eating about 50 to 60 grams of protein per day for the average sized person. And between the ages of 40 and 50, that's above the age of 40, you start losing muscle mass. An example you might see is, think about the older person that you might have seen in your life, somebody with really, really thin arms or really, really thin legs. Their body might actually be looking okay, but you can tell they're actually losing muscle mass. This is called sarcopenia, and it increases the risk of falls, where you can break a hip or worse. And falling is actually the precipitating event for older adults who are living independently, where after a fall, especially if they break their hips, they can't manage anymore by themselves. They've lost their independence and they need assisted living or a caregiver to be able to get around safely.
Oh no!
Oh, a quick favor. We'd greatly appreciate it if you can subscribe and like. This helps the YouTube algorithm recognize the value of our content and share it more widely.
Dr. Li will describe the need for protein and about how much you need.
So, you don't want to become frail, you don't want to actually fall. If you're going to live long, you want to be able to live as independently as possible. And developing that strength, keeping up that muscle mass is absolutely critical. So adding protein to your diet after the age of 40, somewhere between 75 to 90 grams of protein a day is kind of where you want to aim at. Now, every person is different, which is why it's called personalized nutrition. So there's no one hard number that you want to actually stick to. And if you're physically active, you might even need more protein. And as I was saying before, you need protein and the use of your muscles, exercise, in order to be able to actually benefit from that added protein intake.
So, exactly how much protein do I need?
So if you want to do this right, I suggest consulting a trained nutritionist and explaining that you're trying to optimize your protein goals. And this will be useful because they'll help you calculate the right amount of protein that's tailored to you, tailored to your body size, to your physical activity, to your other health conditions that you might have, and other factors. And that's why I'm not giving you a black and white single number that you need to hit, because everybody's different when it comes to the amount of protein that they need.
The following is the first source of protein.
So, what are some of the best sources of protein to help you towards longevity? Well, meat is a good source of protein. You know, beef, pork, chicken, duck, fish, shellfish, all good sources of protein. For example, a 3-ounce serving of beef has about 20 grams of protein. A 3-ounce serving of chicken breast has about 25 to 26 grams of protein, even a little bit more than beef. Ground pork has about 22 grams of protein per 3-ounce serving, about the same amount as ground turkey. But we know that in the end, that eating large amounts of red meat not healthy in the long run. So we're talking about beef here. And longevity is all about the long game. So I encourage you to think about other sources of protein besides red meat.
Like meat and poultry, the following is another source of protein.
As I mentioned, seafood is another source of protein. For example, salmon is a good source of protein, as well as a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, which are good for longevity. A 3-ounce serving of salmon has about 22 grams of protein, about the same amount as turkey. And cod, which is a mild white flesh fish, has about 19 grams per 3-ounce serving, and it's actually got a good healthy amount of omega-3s as well. Now, clinical studies of both salmon and cod show that these types of seafood are good for your metabolism. Through their omega-3s, they can help you burn harmful body fat, which reduces visceral fat, the kind of fat in the tube of your body, and actually lowers inflammation as well. So, that's meat and that's seafood.
Now, the doctor will tell us about an alternative source of protein.
But what about plant-based sources of protein? Because we know that people who eat more plant-based foods have better longevity. So we're talking about legumes like white beans, black beans, pinto beans, lentils, chickpeas, soybeans. These are all plant-based sources of protein as well as good mineral content. The other benefit of these types of plant-based proteins, these legumes, is that they actually make you feel full. That's what we call satiety. And so, if you feel full, you're also less likely to overeat in your next meal. Now, overeating actually overloads your metabolism, which actually can set you up for metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes, which cuts down on your longevity. So, beans, legumes, actually a great way to actually get that source of protein. Now, I enjoy beans in a soup, bean soup, or stew. Great way to actually have beans. And when you make one pot of beans, you're likely to actually have enough as leftovers, so you're actually saving time cooking as well.
Other than legumes, are there other plant-based protein?
Now, another source of plant-based protein are tree nuts, pecans, walnuts, macadamias, pistachios, cashews, even pine nuts.
Macadamia nuts.
And seeds are also a good source. Pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, all good sources of protein.
Sunflower seeds are for winners.
Here is Dr. Lee's advice on eating seeds and nuts.
Now, for tree nuts or seeds, I suggest you just take a handful with you as a snack during the day. Something you bring to the office, something you're going to have a bowl to snack on throughout the day if you actually want to get some protein in. Those are good snacks, and eating them actually are a great way to actually get some extra protein in. And they're a good source of dietary fiber. Dietary fiber feeds your gut microbiome, and when that's a good, healthy gut bacteria, and when your gut microbiome is fed, guess what? Lowers inflammation, and that sets you up to actually have more longevity as well.
As with all of Dr. Lee's suggestions, he backs it up with research. Here is the latest study on plant-based protein.
Now, a team of researchers from Harvard and Tehran University actually looked at just how powerful plant-based proteins are. They looked at 32 clinical studies that involve a total of 715,000 people over periods of time ranging from 3 years to 30 years. That's 3 decades. And found that those people who ate more protein from plants, even 3% more protein in plants, resulted in a lower risk of premature death by about 5%. All right? So you lower the risk of death, premature death, by 5% by just having more proteins. And another study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, a very credible journal, looked at 416,000 people over 16 years and compared to what they were eating over that time for their health, and found that just shifting 3% of protein from animals to plants, shifting just 3% of the protein intake from animals like beef to plants like beans led to a 10% decrease in deaths from any cause. 10% decrease in death from any cause. And this is true for both men as well as women.
Dr. Lee will now tell us why we should consider using plant-based sources of protein.
Now, the reasons for better longevity by taking in plant protein compared to animal protein is thought to be due to the fact that animal protein has higher levels of methionine and branched-chain amino acids. This is found in meat, and not in plants, especially in red meat. And this is considered to be one of the triggers for chronic diseases. Now, more research needs to be done on this, but again, having more shift in protein from meats, red meats, to plant-based foods actually lowers overall mortality. Plant-based foods also have beneficial bioactives like polyphenols that can activate your health defenses, like your circulation, angiogenesis, help activate your stem cells, which help to regenerate and heal from the inside out, activate gut health. These are prebiotics. These polyphenols in plants help to protect your DNA, which can slow cellular aging, help repair DNA, and prevent DNA from being damaged from oxidative stress. And they can actually activate your immune system. So you got better immune protectiveness as well as lower inflammation. So plant-based proteins have actually a lot of other accompanying reasons why they may be beneficial for longevity as well. So you get other benefits in addition to the proteins. You want more good and less bad, choose plant-based proteins.
Now, Dr. Lee will reveal his top choices for protein sources.
So here are my top choices, 5 top choices of plant-based protein sources. Food number 1 are beans. I mentioned this already. White beans, black beans, fava beans, chickpeas, lentils. Great source of protein, help you maintain muscle mass. Also a good source of dietary fiber. Good for your gut microbiome, as I said before. And also beans help to reduce blood lipids, decrease blood glucose levels. All right, so all metabolically healthy as well. Now, how much protein are some beans, legumes? Let's talk about this. 1 cup of chickpeas has 14 grams of protein and 12 grams of dietary fiber. The dietary fiber is really, really important as well. So you're getting twofer, protein and dietary fiber. You can try, again, making a bean stew, bean soup. Chickpeas, you can actually do all kinds of things with them. Just look up a recipe, chickpeas recipe, and hit video on Google, and you'll actually get shown from people who are really passionate about what they do how to make something really tasty using chickpeas, for example.
I love this. I love this bean salad.
And clinical studies have shown that eating beans can help to lower your blood pressure as well, which lowers the risk of heart attack and stroke. So again, we're talking about longevity, we're talking about protein, and now we're talking about foods that contain protein, but also have other benefits and clinically shown connections to longevity as well.
And now for Dr. Lee's next choice.
Seafood. Now, seafood is something that if you live by the ocean, you probably grew up eating seafood. All right, that's if you come from a place on the shore. So if you live in a place in the country where you actually can't get fresh fish, no problem. Just go to the grocery store, go to the freezer section, and you can buy frozen fish. And frozen fish actually in many ways is just as good as fresh fish. You know why? Because most of the frozen fish you get in a grocery store is caught on a boat and it's flash frozen. All right, whereas even fresh fish is kept on ice, of course, and then it's transported all the way to the fishmonger or the grocery store, whereas the flash frozen fish is packed up and then shipped right over to the grocery store, already frozen from the boat, more or less. How good is seafood for longevity and for protein? Well, we talked about salmon and cod as being good sources of protein, but shellfish are also good sources of protein. Mussels, clams, all great. Oysters, good sources of protein. Squid and shrimp, also good sources of protein. So this has been studied, by the way, in terms of its health benefits. A 16-year study that involved almost 500,000 men and women. This is the study called the NIH, which stands for the National Institutes of Health, AARP, that is the American Association for Retired Persons, Diet and Health Study. That's called the NIH AARP Diet and Health Study. Followed people for 16 years, and they found that men who ate the most fish, seafood, had a 10% reduction in mortality due to cardiovascular disease, probably because of the omega-3s that are found in there, but also protein counts as well, lowered the risk of heart attack and stroke. Okay, reduction in mortality from heart attack and stroke, that's by 10%. Had a 6% reduction in cancer mortality. That's probably due to the omega-3s as well. Omega-3s also cut off the blood supply, feeding cancers. 20% reduction in mortality from lung disease. Now, I don't have a mechanism for that, but maybe due to reduction in inflammation, maybe improvement in immune defense, and it had a 37% reduction in death from liver disease in those men who actually ate more seafood, more fish. Now for women, fish eaters, seafood eaters also had a 10% reduction in cardiovascular mortality, same as men. But they also had a 38% reduction in mortality from Alzheimer's disease, all right? That's brain health, all right? So fish, good source of protein, great source of omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3s not only cut off the blood supply to cancer, lower inflammation, help your lipids, but they also protect your stem cells. These are the stem cells in your body that actually help to heal us from the inside out. They regenerate our body. You don't feel them. They're actually doing their job invisibly, helping to repair organs, blood vessels, very important for longevity, all right? And seafood can actually contribute to that. And some seafood, some fish, have now been discovered to have peptides. These are proteins in the flesh, proteins within the proteins that actually can help wound healing as well. So they actually help our body heal, our flesh heal, all right?
Frozen seafood.
I love seafood!
Anything else about seafood?
So the key to fish is really how you're gonna prepare them, seafood. Avoid frying your fish, all right? Look, I like crispy food as much as anyone else. If you ever had fish and chips, delicious. But frying actually has been shown to increase mortality or decrease longevity, all right? And the reason is frying foods, especially the crust, the batter, creates something called acrylamides. These are kind of a plastic, a chemical in the batter that sparks inflammation, and the byproducts of frying can create carcinogens. These are cancer-causing chemicals. So listen, if you eat some fried seafood once in a while, that's going to be fine. Knock yourself out, really enjoy it. But if you do it all the time, and there are places where people eat fried fish all the time, not good for you, all right? So save it for a rare treat, or better yet, don't eat fried food at all.
Any other thoughts about sources of protein, Dr. Lee?
All right. Now, when I think about protein, I think about these types of foods that we've talked about. Seafood, we talk about lentils, we talk about quinoa, we talked about soy products like tofu and other types of soy foods. We talked about beans. These are just 5 examples of some of my favorite sources of proteins, but there's many, many, many more. Point is, you can get proteins by eating meat, all right? But a better choice is actually to get plant-based proteins. And even if you are an omnivore, I'm an omnivore, I eat everything. But I eat mostly plant-based foods, and I eat only a modest amount from meats and seafood. And if you can, switch your protein intake towards plant-based foods, and within the animal protein or fish protein, move from red meat to seafood, because seafood has got all these other benefits as well. But plant-based foods, by far, not only have great sources of protein, but they've got dietary fiber. You're not going to find this in seafood, and you're not going to find it in meat. That dietary fiber does something really important when it comes to longevity, and that is that it actually is good for gut health, which lowers inflammation. It's good for brain health, helps your body streamline lipid metabolism, which lowers your cholesterol, which lowers your risk for cardiovascular disease. As I mentioned, there are clinical studies that show all of these things make a difference when it comes to real longevity.
So how do we move forward and find these sources?
So the key, all right, I'm somebody who actually I enjoy my food. I look forward to eating. And so the thing to do is actually to find plants with good sources of protein and fiber and these polyphenols that taste great. And if you go to the produce section, your grocery store, you're sure to find something seasonal and fresh. All right. If you go to a farmer's market, you're going to find that as well. Beans, in the summertime, there's all these different kinds of beans. You can do cook all kinds of food with beans. And by the way, there are ways that you can look for recipes. So if you see a plant source protein that you don't know what to do with, all right, I don't know what to do with quinoa. I'm not really sure what to do with lentils. Again, go to Google, hit the food name like lentils, hit recipe, and then hit video, and look at all the search results. Pick one of somebody who's really passionate about cooking that can teach you how to make something delicious using that ingredient like lentils that you might not have known. And again, I like beans and lentils because not only do they help me feel full, so I'm less likely to overeat the next day, which is very important for longevity overall, but it saves me time because if I'm making a batch of beans, all right, or lentils, for example, I'll have enough for the next day. That saves me cooking time the next day. So, and also it's very inexpensive. So not expensive way to actually get protein. Remember, if you're over the age of 40, you want to start paying attention to the fact that you're losing muscle mass every single day. You can't help it. So you want to do is you want to actually keep up with your protein, add more to your protein, and stay physically active. That's important to eat proteins, especially plant-based proteins, and stay physically active. Exercise, exercise is great, but if you don't need to join a gym. You just need to stay active as you possibly can. All right? I hope you learned something from watching this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again. Dr. Lee out.
Join the club.
Next, watch the Dr. William Lee Club playlist for more information on the nutritarian diet. Thanks for watching Longevity Deprocessed. Hit like, share, and subscribe to stay updated on evidence-based longevity tips. Share your thoughts in the comments. Your journey matters. Remember, small daily habits create big changes. Until next time, keep deprocessing for a healthier, longer future. Let's make this journey together.